For me, I think the Kenyan agriculture sector has been made to fail intentionally. There's so much the government could have done to salvage agriculture. When you speak about agriculture, you're speaking about the food chain. But it's been made to fail to warrant, to justify this all importation. I have said this 1,010,000 times. Zero-rate agriculture. Do not tax anything in agriculture. Not the seeds, not the fertilizer, actually subsidize. Like farmers are supposed to work in NCPB and pick free fertilizer. They're not supposed to pay a coin. The seeds are supposed to be paid for by the government 100%. Farmers are just supposed to go and pick the seeds.
In this job that you do 9 to 5, you don't even get outside to get the sun. Mm-hmm. So when you go to the hospital, I'll prescribe vitamin D for you so that you can take it. Remember, almost everyone with a chronic problem has vitamin D deficiency. So you have an insurance cover. I mean, do you need even the sun? In this particular office, I'll give you coffee, I'll give you water from a dispenser with microplastics. Thank you. And then in lunchtime, I'll give you fries. You're going to eat those ones. In the evening, you're going to go home late. The sun is out. You don't get the red therapy. You don't get the blue light. You've been in blue light during the whole day in the office and your screens. Now you are depressed. You have an insurance cover. You go back to the hospital. I have you from Monday to Saturday.
I believe that any damage done on the human body is reversible. To mitigate for this consumption of a lot of poison, I personally encourage people to do a lot of detoxing, because at least you're taking control. Sometimes you have no control of what you've put into your body. So now take the control of detoxing, take care of your gut, Nowadays you tell people, go and drink the busa, go and drink the moratina. It's a probiotic.
All right, guys, before we get into the conversation, allow me to give a quick shout out to our friends at FarmSentry.ai. Now, been following this podcast for a while now, you know that I'm a huge believer in treating your farm as a business. And this is one of the biggest problems I see a lot of farmers have, is that they don't take their farm seriously. You see them running the farms using WhatsApp groups, maybe phone calls, and just relying on the memory to keep their basic data. And this is why they almost always run their farms to the ground. Enter FarmSentry.ai. FarmSentry is a farm management platform that helps you really keep your records, manage your crops and livestock, plan your farm activities, track your expenses, and most importantly, it shows you if your farm is making money or not, all through your phone. Now, my favorite feature by far is the diagnostics tool. Let's say you're working on the farm and you see a leaf that doesn't look quite right, like this one, for example. All you have to do is just open your FarmSentry app, tap the diagnosis, take a photo, and ask the question, what's wrong with my leaf? And within seconds, FarmSentry analyzes the image, identifies the likely problem, and recommends what action you should take. And just like that, you are no longer guessing. And that is the power of AI right in your pocket. Right now, FarmSentry is offering a 30-day free trial. All you have to do is head over to FarmSentry.ai or simply search FarmSentry, that is Farm, S-E-N-T-R-Y, on Google Play Store or App Store. And you get to experience all these amazing features within FarmSentry. And when you like it, which I'm sure you would, be sure to use my coupon code ORGANICGUY for a 20% off. That is Organic Guy for a 20% off. All right, let's get into the conversation. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the top. Welcome to the Organic Perspective. This is where we get to have a conversation on the latest news making headlines. And today we've got very interesting topics that I want us to go through. But before that, I wanted to take a minute to appreciate you guys who tuned in the last podcast that we did where we talked about the finance bill. A lot of you guys left some comments on YouTube, and it's fair that I give you a shout out. There's Just Korea who say that this should trend. Thanks, Organic Guy. This is very informative. Thank you for tuning in. And also there's Elroy who says thank you for this discussion. Very much well needed. And also Live East Africa talks about this is a thoughtful conversation, and I loved it. So thank you very much. We do love such kind of feedback, and of course today's episode is no different because we've got very interesting topics for us to go through. I'm not doing it by myself. I'm joined by my co-host, who is Mary Kathomi. And also we promised last time that we might be joined by a guest on the podcast. So I'm super excited to welcome Chela to the podcast. Asante sana for making time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. We have interacted on X, formerly called Twitter, and I think you have very interesting takes when it comes to health, agriculture, and all that space. Before we get, you can just give us a little bit of an introduction about yourself and some of the things you do as well.
All right, my name is Ruth Jelagat. I am a registered nurse. I'm also well conversed with integrative medicine. So I've practiced a little bit in functional and integrative medicine, in oncology setup, and also in the nutritional bit of it. Functional medicine focuses on the root cause, and I think that is where I got my interest in the nutritional bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I also practiced in the conventional medicine setup as a nurse.
What do you mean the conventional? Because you talked about like functional health and conventional. Like, what's the difference?
So conventional health is what governs our hospitals. The health system that we use in this country basically is conventional. So that is what we are taught in school, that is what we practice. Yeah. Functional is regarded as alternative medicine. It focuses on the root cause of health. It doesn't just focus on, okay, you're sick, let's give you medication. But you're sick now, let's see, what is the problem? Now we get to understand what is the root cause, what caused your health problems.
Interesting. I think we have a bit of a topic here that you'll help us give insights on that, on the health perspective. Mary, of course, the author of A Girl from the Slopes of Mount Kenya, thank you very much for making time again. You are always a busy person, if I may say so, and politically, I saw you the other time you were out with the Linda Mwananchi group. So that's an interesting perspective that is going on.
Being on this space of policy, more so policy in agriculture, if we are not careful, we will be ranting on the sides forever. And I've thought, like, we really need to be on the decision tables. So I'm taking a shot in politics, on the national level and the local level. Yeah. So these things, Brian, you keep discussing here, I want to discuss them with the leaders. You know, sometimes we are mistaken. Politicians don't have the information. They don't know. They actually do not know. You'll be so shocked. They actually need advice from people like us. You know, people have the knowledge on issues affecting and afflicting, say, farmers in the communities. So, you know, I've been in politics for a while, and I've learned a lot in that journey. But more so, we need to be in those spaces. We need to tell our leaders what is working and what is not working. Our leaders are more so in an elitist kind of standing. Sometimes their hands are tied, and sometimes they actually do not have the information. Yeah. So we come and tell them, you know, these are the good policies in agriculture. This is, you know, we make the policies, we chip in the policy making processes just to see good implementations coming along in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we have this sort of mythical figure of politicians, like they sort of have solution to all our problems, and they know everything that is supposed to happen. So I guess that's a very valid, you know, point of view. In fact, like saying, hey, there's these people who are in the places of power, and they might need our inputs, right? Because if you look in the other option, these guys already are in the trenches. Like, they have control of the parliament, right? They can go to parliament and say, this is the kind of law that we want, and it can get us passed. But for us in the other side of things, we don't have that representation of going to the parliament and telling them, hey, these are our concerns, hear us out. So I think that's a very interesting approach and very much needed. I've got very interesting topics that I want us to go through today, just to give the guys what we'll be talking about. Apparently, there is a silent killer in your plate because aflatoxin is a very huge concern in our food systems. The other day, KEBS actually flagged a lot of peanut butter brands saying that they have high aflatoxin levels. In fact, in normal level, it's supposed to be 15 parts per billion, but KEBS flagged some of the brands that had over 900 points per billion. So that's about 62 times of what is recommended in the Kenyan market. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about CS Kagwe announces a crackdown on milk hawking. So apparently the government is trying to push the small-scale farmers into the system, trying to push them really to take their milk into milk factories. So we'll talk about what effect does that have in our small-scale farmers. And there's a very interesting story here on The Nation which tries to explain why we still import most of our products, especially milk, fish, eggs. And you'll be surprised that we actually import fish all the way from China into Kenya. So that was interesting as well. Maize farmers are protesting in our food basket region in Eldoret. They are saying that the government is not making available synthetic fertilizers for them, which is probably going to make their production really go low. We'll talk about Chicken Inn and Pizza Inn announced very record-breaking revenues up to 2.8 billion Kenya shillings in revenue in 2026, and up to 4 million Kenyans are looks like are enjoying fast food joints in the country. So we'll talk about that, what effect that have in our health. Bayer is being sued again, right? So they are always in the court areas. Remember last time they were sued to the tune of 2.3 trillion Kenya shillings. They were urged to pay some of the plaintiffs who claimed some of their products, glyphosate, gave them cancer. And lastly but not least, we look at the science side of things, where science now can confirm that there is a link between soil fertility and the intelligence of citizens. So we'll take a look at that and what effect does that have. So pretty, well, I'll say diverse topics. Chela, which one has your eye the most?
The Chicken Inn and Pizza Inn story.
Chicken Inn and Pizza Inn. Okay, I think we should start with that one then. So, Sambisa brand, which owns Chicken Inn, Pizza Inn, recorded revenue growth of 15% year-on-year growth. That's about 2.8 billion Kenya shillings in the first quarter of 2026. Consumer volumes in Kenya rose by 21%. So that's about 3.5 million Kenyans flock these stores, and the average spend fell about 5% to about $6.17. So that's about 800 Kenya shillings. Delivery has emerged as the sharpest growth lever, with volume jumping at 71% in the first quarter. That is about 6,000 orders per day. Right, and the Kenyan store network stood at 259 trading counters. This is up from 251 earlier in the following year. And they are approximating that in the next year they'll add 8 more stores in the coming year. The group announced that it has 17 new stores that are opening in the coming year of 2026. And yeah, it looks like a lot of Kenyans do indeed love fast foods.
You know, we live in a convenience era. Yeah. The food revolution has grown. We started from the Paleolithic diet. We went to the agrarian, where grains got introduced. We went to the Industrial Revolution to make grains easy for us to digest. So we had to process them. So we had these processed grains in our market, the cereals, the legumes. They are not indigenous to us. And then now we are in the convenience era, the fast food era. And when you look at the curve of disease progression from these particular eras, then you realize that we live in the peak disease progression. There are things that never used to happen. We never used to have obese children. We never used to have children with a lot of cancers and type 2 diabetes. Right now we have, it is a norm. 21-year-olds are hypertensive. Why? It's because of this progression of in our food diet and food industry. And so now when we move to this convenience era, because we love convenience, we don't want to do the work, we don't want to get tired or get dirty. So we just want to eat this fast food and go on with our lives. So it's going to get even worse than it is right now. Why? Because we live in an era where we think it's cool to eat pizza. It's cool to eat KFC chicken. I mean, I'm taken out on a date. I'm going to KFC. I feel I'm at the top of the... And if we don't look at that, we are going to have so many issues that crop up. Hormonal issues. Children these days have hormonal issues. We have young boys who have women-like features, and you wonder how so. It's because of this food industry.
It's quite interesting. So she just mentioned there like all those things that we know this fast foods causes, but it looks like there's a lot of Kenyans, up to 4 million of them, still go there. Why do you think that's the case?
I think she's right. We've become a lazy population. We don't want to get tired. We don't want to wash utensils. These young people, they don't want to be on the sink washing utensils, cooking. And also you have to realize that the internet connectivity in Kenya is very high. I think in Africa, Kenya's connectivity to the internet is amongst the highest. A lot of these fast foods are advertised through the internet. You open YouTube, the first thing you get, it's a pizza. It's what do they call this company that drops food? Glovo. That's what I'm looking for. It's so convenient. You just click and the food is outside your gate. But remember, you have no control of the quality of foods you're eating. You actually have no idea of what kinds of foods you're eating. So that conveniency, as Chela said, people don't want to get tired, but you've lost the control of the food. I actually say it is bad food. It is poison. People are injecting poisons in their body. It's purely poison because you don't know. I actually did a research another day, and I wanted to understand where do they get their meats from. These meat bites. I wanted to connect it to the Kenya Meat Commission, this industrial level of supplying this meat. And I actually asked the people that cook, where do you get these meats from? Where do they come from? They come packed, ready. Are they imported? Are they Kenyan sourced? It is a sad situation, and these foods are targeted towards the young people, the children, from the children. And when you want to capture the mind, you capture it from the child level. So the children will pressure their parents, I want a pizza, I want a burger, I want a soda, all the bad food, and then the connection to health issues is astronomical. You find girls in 6 years having menstruation. I've had such a case. I'm a trained neuropath, a certified neuropath, and I'm very happy that she's here, healing wholly. And we find ourselves in those spaces. And no one tells you the effects. That's a blind area. No one tells about the effects. In Brian, when I was growing up, I swear in the entire locality of where I grew up, we had one autistic child. Yani it was so unique, watu walikuwa naenda kuona ule mtoto. We didn't have autism. It's not so many years ago. Right now, autism is a pandemic in this country. ADHD, maugonjwa zingine, you're trying to describe them like ADHD. So we are attributing a lot of health issues to, I am trying to think about this thing. We are not interested in the cause of these problems. We are only interested in fixing these problems. And to me, there's something to look in there. No one tells you what causes this. No one tells you where this comes from. They are very quick to tell you how to fix it, how to manage. So you get autism organizations, autism self-help groups, autism support system. They even get a lot of funding. But no one will ever tell you how we got ourselves to this place. I'm praying, and I love where this country is headed to in terms of an awakening, in terms of knowledge. I know more and more people want to eat traditional foods, and I pray our young people come to that, and the parents have to do a lot of work there. Cook food, just cook food. This convenience is expensive in the long run. Allow me to say this one thing. People pay insurance covers. Hefty. Health insurance covers, 2 million, 3 million. The bigger the health cover you have, the happier you are. Niko covered. Sijui na Britam, sijui na nani. And then Now that because you have a health cover, you go on a spree of reckless living. Because you have a what? A health cover. Mtoto kahoma tu hivi kidogo, Gertrude's. Something small, because you have a what? A health cover. It's like the health insurance cover has given you a through pass for reckless living. But I hope people can embrace more responsible ways of living. And when I say living, it's eating. Eating is very important. Eating is everything.
I was actually looking at some of the best-selling products in these stores. One of them was 2 pieces and chips. It goes for $5.50, and there's 3 pieces and chips goes for $6.50. There's a medium pizza. This one goes for 1,000 bob. And there are terrific Tuesdays. So these are offers that they usually have. It goes for $13.99. And there's also 4 hot wings and chips. So basically, it's a variation of wheat and potatoes and some chicken in there. And if you look, most of these chicken are probably broiler chickens, right? Because if you look like how the normal chicken looks like, wanawekanga hizo wheat. So the way it's prepared is problematic. But I was wondering, Chela, as in, where would you put this blame on? Is it on the consumer or is it on the manufacturers?
Both. Why? Because the manufacturer is looking at profit margin. Capitalism does things to you. This is what capitalism does. Every opportunity is an opportunity to make money. So according to the manufacturer, they are making money. They are creating job opportunities. So even when we are complaining, some people are saying it's a job opportunity. Kwani hamtaki tupate kazi? You see, according to the manufacturer. And then the consumer also does not understand what they are consuming. They don't go back to try and see, is this food, is this poison, how is it made? And then also marketing. Marketing does what we call predictive programming. And then the visualization of each and every time you look at something, it subconsciously gets into your head. Yeah? So you look at it all the time, so you'll want to test it because you've been seeing it in media, on the roads, in banners. So now you want to try it. And then you try it. Remember, it's also laced with MSG. MSG is addictive in nature. So you try it on day 1, hiyo kitu ilikuwa tamu. Day 2, in no time, it has become an addiction. Now that it is an addiction, that's why you see parents and children every Saturday and Sunday just go to any outlet. Pizza Inn, KFC in the malls, you'll find children and parents, and they're just eating this food. Now you'll eat the chicken, the chips, and then the soda. And the soda has what? Aspartame. It is also addictive. So these are addictions coupled together. So that sweetening, unaona hiyo kitu tunaita sweet tooth. These days they've given it names. They say, I have a sweet tooth. Mi siwezi kula kitu sio tamu. So that it happens. So it's not really about the manufacturer and the consumer. It's just both of them. And the government, the regulations. Our food industry is like, it's like kufunga hapa kamba, alafu hapa na hapa ni empty. You see, like, it's like I've just fenced here, but I've not fenced here, I've not fenced here. That's how our food industry looks like. There are no regulations that govern the common mwananchi. So
there's a lot of responsibility to be taken on both sides, from a consumer perspective, from a government, and also from the sellers of these products. But I was thinking, even from an agricultural point of view, I think there was a time people were complaining when they heard that KFC doesn't source potatoes from Kenya. They're sourcing all the way to Egypt. So when Chela is talking about these guys are here to create employment for our people, but it looks like even for the sourcing of these products,
there's not much benefits. If the potatoes, say like in KFC, they don't come from here, the chicken doesn't come from here, the benefits to the Kenyan economy or the Kenyan population is very small. It's the lame, It's a very small benefit. So it's we are giving out more than we are receiving, and we are paying the heavier price, because it's our populations that will get affected in the long run.
Absolutely. So I was trying to look at like how the whole fast food changes someone's system. So I'm thinking they were saying when you eat this fast food for a long time, it even changes your your gut microbiome. So it literally kills all the good microbiomes. So your gut is filled to the bad microbiomes, and then as goes on, you get inflammation. And then as time goes on, even your taste actually changes. So when you're given this other food, which is supposed to be more nutritious, you're like, you know what, I can't consume this because it's not as good as the fast food. So yeah, I think from that perspective, there's a lot of things to learn. I want us to move into a different topic. Mary, which one do you want us to go to next?
Aflatoxin.
Aflatoxin. Okay. Let's see. I guess when Moses Kuria was saying that there's a lot of things that can kill you, in Kenya can kill you, then he decided to allow GMOs. Yeah, probably aflatoxin is one of the things he was talking about. So this is a story that is coming from the Daily Nation, and it says, the peanut butter, cereals, and maize that you've been recently consuming may have been contaminated by aflatoxin, a highly poisonous and carcinogenic toxin that contaminates agricultural products such as maize, groundnuts, sorghum, and dried fruits. So according to agricultural experts, the toxins can be found in eggs, milk, and other farm products when animals with simple chambered stomachs like pigs, chickens, and humans feed on affected plants. So on March this year, the Health Director General Patrick Amoth expressed public concerns after chemical analysis reveals that levels of aflatoxins in various brands of peanut butter like Nuti, Kismat, Panache, and Mleka allowed maximum of 15 parts per billion, but for these brands, they had a total aflatoxins of up to 934 parts per billion, which is 62 times higher than the legal safety limits. Researchers say that the effects of aflatoxins are both short-term and long-term, with liver cancer being one of the associated diseases. He adds that infants are at risk as some winning products are made from grains that contain the toxin, or children become stunted when they ingest the toxin. The liver, which detoxifies the poison, is also affected, causing cirrhosis or cancer. So it's an invisible pathogen that causes serious harm to once it enters the body. That is Professor Kimurto said. So this is a highly poisonous thing, and they say, I mean, you can't see it or you can't smell it, so it's something that a lot of people cannot detect unless it's being flagged by KEBS. So like for an average Kenyan consumer, what options do you have when you hear such a stories in your mainstream media?
I think you actually connect that story with the foods that we import story. They really connect because, first of all, we are majorly importers. So we do not have the control quality of foods that we are pushing into our markets. So when you look at the levels of aflatoxin, I'm sure that data has come maybe from samples across, I've seen there's a lady called Shola on X that actually samples foods. Like people have just gone private, like go to butcheries, get meat and take it to the lab and check. So you can imagine with the heavy amounts of foods that we import, we completely have no control of the quality of foods that we are eating, because from the ujui in China walieka hizo, like I don't kula fish in Nairobi. I don't. Like only eat fish when I go to Kisumu. Otherwise, I'm not going to do fish because I know it's China fish. It's bad. If you've eaten it, it's just horrible. And imagine this is the foods we are giving to our children. I believe that. And today we are happy to have a nurse with us. But my research and everything is that any damage done on the human body is reversible. Most damages done on the human body is reversible. To mitigate for this consumption of a lot of poison, I personally encourage people to do a lot of detoxing, because at least you're taking control. Sometimes you have no control of what you've put into your body. So now take the control of detoxing, take care of your gut, And when we nowadays we tell people, go and drink the busa, go and drink the muratina. It's a probiotic. Take fermented foods. ferment your cabbage in the house. You're sort of taking care of, we don't have control, Brian, of, okay, this is number 2 of what kills Kenyans, heavy consumption of aflatoxin. You remember there was this, a whole melee that came with aflatoxin maize, and there was, a couple of years back, and there was a serious cry across the country. That maize should not be consumed by Kenyans. And I remember it was Raila is the one who brought this thing to the public a couple of years back before he passed on. And people even lost their jobs in cabs. But you know what? That maize found its way in the population. And watu wakakula. Hiyo hasara yote, capitalism again. Wacha watu wakule mahindi. But we do not know what we are doing to the population. Look at the cancer cases, to be specific, in Meru. It's not just Meru. Meru is up there in terms of the numbers, but cancer cases across the country. And when I encourage people to plant, especially to plant your food, even your basic foods like kitungu, basic foods like nyanya, or small things, mbogas, you have the control of what you're eating a bit. Take control of what you're eating a bit. But it's true, there's a lot of attack on the kind of foods you're eating, and that is in connection to it's affecting our health. So we have to do something. We don't know if you're going to trust KEBS to do random checks. Maybe we are going to go to private organizations. Let's do random checks of, they've even seen like meats in the supermarket are raced with preservatives that are very harmful to our bodies. These meat people are eating. When we say that we've imported our eggs have aflatoxin, we are again importing heavily. I come from a community, I live in a community that is the biggest supplier of eggs in Kenya. I live in Wangige, Kabete. Kabete alone is doing 90% of eggs percentage produced in Kenya. And when you buy an egg in Wangige market, and you buy an egg, even when ukigonga ile mai iweke kwa sahani, you'll see the difference. There are these eggs when you put in the sahani, the kayok there is black. No, it's black. No, it's black. Okay. The kapat, they're supposed to be yellow. See, there's a white and the yellow. Kale kapat supposed to be yellow. It's black. Yes. So you see some dark stuff, but there's a way a good egg should supposed to be the white, the yellow, the rich yellow actually, and that is connected to how you feed your chicken. So just Brian, we completely out of control in terms of managing the kinds of food you're eating because you're importing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was looking at some of the ways that this aflatoxin finds its way to things like maize. It's basically how they are drying it. So most of it, comes when it's the maize has not dried really well. So yeah. Apparently the maize is supposed to be 13% sort of dry before you actually take it into the market or try to convert it to unga. But most guys don't have the time to wait for it to dry very well. So they just take it to the market venye hata ijakauka vizuri and then hope kila mtu ajisaidie venye anataka.
I'm just curious, did we ever have aflatoxin cases previously, let's say 20-30 years back? Did we have them? Because could it be the breeding of the kind of maize that we're breeding, the kind of food that we're growing? Could it be because now we are using certified seeds, we're using hybrid seeds? Could that be the reason we are having these cases?
Even when we're talking about the accumulation, because even the diets, when you talk about the diets, if you look the diets that our grandparents used to have, it was a diverse kind of diets. But nowadays, ukiamuka, you're probably taking mandazi, which is wheat, and unapaka some peanut. So there's some aflatoxins in that. Mchana pia unakula ugali, some aflatoxin. So in the long term, when you look at the whole consumption of the food that you're eating, even when you get the small doses of these aflatoxins, so in the long term it accumulates a lot of it in the body.
Also, what if, this is just me thinking outside the box. What if the aflatoxin case actually is someone else trying to bring their products to the market?
They're always in a plan. There's nothing that happens in accident. Exactly. Nothing that happens. It's all in a plan. Even the poisoning of the food, the bad foods, the contaminated food, it's all a plan. It's not a mistake.
Yeah, because if you tell me about aflatoxin, most people dry their maize at home. Yeah. Where I come from, people dry their maize and take them to the grinder, the kisiagi. and they eat. And the aflatoxin cases, actually, we hear them from the media. Uku ground, I exist. So now it makes me wonder what exactly goes on.
Yeah. That's actually a very good question, because I was looking at some of the solutions they're proposing. There's a product they have come with. It's called aflatoxin, something like that. Aflasafe.
Put it in your brain.
So that, you apply it in your gain, so that
it doesn't get aflatoxin. Does it make sense to you?
No, that's it.
It's a marketing strategy.
Yeah.
It's really a marketing strategy when you look at it, because if I have a product that I want it to be taken by everyone and the government is subsidizing it for you, it's being subsidized, right? Yeah. How am I going to make you want it? Create the problem and then offer the solution. Yeah, the solutions. That's basically maths.
And it's actually it's an important question you raised, like how comes these things didn't happen during our grandparents' time?
Actually, these things happen in the media. Let me just be realistic. We are not sick in reality, but now the media makes us sick. It's like COVID. Most of us didn't know there was COVID. It's the media that brought it to our attention. Did we know? We didn't. Now we have no idea there's Ebola virus, but it's the media pushing it. So now we have no idea. These things we don't know. If you don't have a TV, you don't have a radio, you're healthy. You don't know what is happening. You're just eating your food, you're okay. But now when you get exposed to this narrative, now you start panicking. And then now the mindset, our mindset is number one target. Yeah. When they target your mindset, you start programming your whole nervous system and your body that you're feeling a certain type of way. So when you start feeling like that, you become like that. Now you are going to become sick because they've already fed you. Yeah. Huh? They've fed you. You have to wear your mask, you'll get Ebola. So now you have to wear your mask. Now you have this maize that is in the stores. You have to do this. It has aflatoxin. So now you're you're programming yourself that everything is not consumable. Yeah,
and I think that's the importance of actually asking questions. Once you hear the story and then you go, okay, why is this happening? Okay, what kind of solutions are they trying to offer? So if you look from that like whole systemic point of view, then everything sort of pieces itself together. And I want us to move into the next story, and this is the story about milk. I want us to talk about milk kidogo. So apparently the CS has just announced casually that they are going to crack down on the hawking of milk across the country. The story says the government has launched a major crackdown in milk hawking across the country, declaring the unregulated sale of milk as a danger to public health and a major obstacle to Kenya's dairy industry growth. Speaking during the flagging of 25 bulk coolers at Uhuru Park, the CS Agriculture delivered the strongest warning yet against brokers and hawkers selling milk directly to consumers, saying that the practice must come to an end. He said milk hawking must stop. It's dangerous, it's a healthy issue, and it destroys the ability to create value-added dairy products. The headline stands against a major policy shift as the government moves to tighten control over Kenya's booming dairy industry, which remains heavily dominated by informal milk traders operating outside the regulated system. CS Kagwe accused milk hawking networks for undermining processors, weakening cooperative, and denying farmers better earning through processed dairy products such as yogurt, cheese, and milk. The government believes this is only to improve the food safety, but also to dismantle the middlemen who buy and resell raw milk without quality checks.
What they're trying to do, it's like, let me look for a polite way to say it. When you want to heal a wound, you don't bandage the wound with the infections and everything. They're trying to bandage a problem, but they're not getting down to the root cause of that problem. So what is in the first place is making this farmer take their milk to I actually live in the milk producing area. I've actually done dairy keeping myself for a long time. So I've been in 2 cooperative societies as a person, and at some point I've sold milk directly to the people that pick with pro boxes and take to the supermarket because they gave me a better price. I'm saying this from a personal experience, and the payment was seamless. I speak for the farmer because I'm a farmer. Number one, when farmers do this, they're doing this because they need the cash, and they need a quick cash. They need to buy the salts, They need to buy some maize jam, some dairy milk, quickly. So what do? They're better off selling to that person who will be paying at the end of the week without a lot of straining. So they're trying to fix their problem. And I do not know why government behave like gods. It's my cow, it's my milk. I need to decide where I want to take my milk. I think government is overreaching. And the other day we were talking with you, Brian, we were asking, what are governments meant for? They were not meant to choke life out of us. They were just meant to be a support system for governance. So I think governments are overreaching. I fault the CS of agriculture. I do not know. I'm yet to go to do a research and understand the law around that. I think they are working for the big companies, the processing. So you hata pale chino umesema they're denying the processors. Maziwa ikuwa ya processor. So if I'm denying the processor the opportunity to accumulate more and more milk, in whose interest does the government speak? The government is supposed to be speaking the interest of the farmer. Another thing, Brian, we need to look in there. So if the farmer chooses to take the milk to a broker and not to a cooperative society, the cooperative society is not competitive enough. Let them get competitive enough. Let them get attractive. It's a market. Yeah. So what I'll tell you about the cooperative society because I've been there. They pay badly. Their prices are low. The cooperative society that has been doing very well, I don't know, it's the Githunguri Cooperative Society in Kenya. They are giving good prices per liter. I haven't checked lately how much they are paying. Was it 50 something going? Iko imefika 60 per liter of raw milk. You know, but this guy coming with a Probox is going to give me 65, mbio. You know? Yeah. Then the other thing, quick accessibility to the money. Yeah. Another thing, supply of what I need for my cows. I need to be able to call my vet and pay my vet easily. I need to get my salts easily. I need to get my maize jam easily. And let me tell you, Brad, our priorities in agriculture are misplaced from bottom up. It's a mess in the agriculture sector. We are given policies, foreign policies to implement that are unimplementable in our country. We've never behaved as people who want to sort our agriculture sector from homegrown solutions. We don't do that. So let me tell you, everyone wants to make the money. Everyone wants to, and I mean the farmer. The farmer wants the maximum profits. If the government came in, completely subsidized production, and streamline cooperative society in the interest of the farmer. You want to tell me farmers are not going to take their milks there?
Because I'm trying to look like from a consumer's perspective. So for Cargo here is assuming that consumers are not smart enough to know if the milk is actually safe or not, right? So it's trying to come between that. And then like from a consumer's perspective, I think they're looking at it and they're like, oh, okay, I can get fresh milk first of all, because we know supermarkets milk might not be the best.
You remove the cheese, remove the butter, make milk powder, and then now what are you selling me? Which milk? Yeah. The water content in that milk is basically like 90%, and the milk content is 10%, basically. I'm not giving the exact statistics, but I'm just thinking out loud. Because according to him, we need to import, is it import or export? We need to get more milk powder, cheese, yogurt.
That's where the money is.
Yeah, butter. That's where the money is. So now, if I'm going to get my milk that the butter has been removed here, the cheese has been removed here, they have come up with milk powder from this very same thing. So what am I getting?
And there's something, Brian, you need to note. Milk is a multi-billion-dollar industry, like fuel, like cocaine. And what happens in the milk business is that people want to monopolize. You want to control the market. You want to monopolize to maximize the profits. Why can't the government properly regulate? Let the market, the market dynamics, let them play out. Let the cooperative societies become competitive. Let the processors give good prices. If you give good prices, everyone will take their milk to you. But now what the government is doing is trying to referee hiyo mchezo haiko fair, that's what they're trying to do. But the milk industry is a multi-billion industry, and every other time they're just trying to choke the farmer. They're just trying to monopolize, especially in Kenya. Kenyans consume a lot of milk. It's very different when you go to Uganda. Ugandans don't consume milk. They don't take tea. But Kenya milk is a key thing. So sometimes you ask yourself, who does the government speak for? Does it speak for the processor? Does the government speak for who exactly? But if the government went out to speak out for the farmer, farmers will be at a good place.
Yeah. So the CS was talking this as he was giving coolers at Uhuru Park, and then so I think from his perspective, he's trying to say, can we look at ways that we can modernize this sector, sort of, and try to bring more value into the milk itself. But Chela, you're giving a very good point in terms of, like, when you're processing milk, there are other products that come from it.
Yeah. The packaged milk, sijui 90-day milk, sijui oat milk, because now that packaging also, the preservatives that they add, whatever, the processing, the pasteurization process and everything, they have removed the nutrients. Actually, it is bland. There's no milk there. They have removed everything that is supposed to be nutritious has been removed. Yeah. So what are you consuming? Colorful water.
All powdered milk in Kenya is imported. The KCC will import. All these companies will import. Remember, we cannot even meet the demand of milk in Kenya locally. So now when it comes to the byproducts, the ghee, the butter, the powdered milk, we're importing from Europe, you're importing from other countries. Europe, where the farmer is 100% subsidized by the government. So the government actually takes the milk, and when the European population does not consume, they turn it to powder, they put it in their drawers for years and export it to to the African countries. That's the sad state.
And actually, I think that statement then closely followed by this story of farmers in Eldoret actually protesting that they're not receiving fertilizers. Also, I see this as one way that the government has actually gotten hold of these farmers. They literally can't do anything without the government. So I'll just read the story. So this is a story again from the Daily Nation that says maize farmers stormed the NCPP Eldoret depot over fertilizer shortage. It says the angry maize farmers in Northlift stormed NCPP depot in Eldoret, protesting the shortage of subsidized CAN fertilizer, which they say is urgently needed as a crop enters a critical stage. The farmers accuse the government of failing to supply top-dressing fertilizer, while they continues to import and distribute DAP, which is used for planting, a move they say has left thousands of growers exposed to higher production costs. So normally, small-scale farmers buy their fertilizer at a retail price of 4,200 for a 50 kg bag, but for a subsidized price, they buy it for 1,950. That's like up to 2x of what the government subsidized for them. Agronomists estimate that the delayed or missed fertilizer application could reduce maize yields by 15 to 20%, so significantly affecting national food supply. The North Rift region, which includes Uasin Gishu, Trans Nzoia, Elgeyo Marakwet, and parts of Nakuru, account for 35% of Kenya's maize output and remains the country's primary grain basket. So farmers are sort of pushed into the corner. They are sort of meant to wait for the government to come to their rescue. I guess this is the point that you are actually referring to.
You create dependency. That is what happens when you move people from indigenous production to commercial production of hybrid seeds. So you create the dependency. And then when it reaches a point where you don't want them to depend on you, you can just cut it short and they suffer. It's so easy. It's right now we have Mahindi na Kavitungu North Rift. For real, it's not even a joke. Because people are unable to add the top dressing fertilizer. Remember, the soil microbiome has been totally destroyed. The minerals are depleted of those soils. These are the very people who don't they no longer weed with djembes. We weed with, is it Roundup? We just do the spray. So our soil is just bad. It's terrible. Which begs the question, even the maize that we are consuming, it's nutritionless. Because plant is supposed to get microbiome from the soil. There's the soil microbiome, the plant microbiome, then now our gut microbiome. It's a trickle up or trickle down effect. So now if our soils are like this, they cannot even support a plant unless there's a top dressing, there's a fertilizer. How bad is the situation? It is terrible. So maybe we should not even be growing maize, because what are we even growing in the first place?
They've programmed us bit by bit by bit. They pushed the Kenyan farmer to monocropping way of farming, which is not the way farming was supposed to be done. We were supposed to do cross-cropping. Like when you have maize, then you have beans in the middle, you have terraces of Napier grass. Everything has a part it plays. But now they pushed this all single cropping agenda. It is so interesting. We do not do manure in our farms. And last podcast, we talked about India exporting cow dung cakes. So cow dung, it's a big export to Dubai. So literally, for me, I know if you want to balance your soils, you must use manure. Goat manure, cow manure, urea from chicken manure, urea from rabbits. You know those like rotting compost manure? Everything rotting together, put it in that's the way you balance the soils. There's no shortcut to that. They've tried to behave like they have a way of, you use this fertilizer, use the top dressing when the soils are too acidic, weka lime. Oh my goodness. I look at those farms and I'm like, where are we getting to? Look at the situation now. We've become very, very dependent on these fertilizers that we don't produce. So our food security is in jeopardy, because now mahindi zinakauka Trans Nzoia because there's no top dressing.
I was thinking for like a small scale farmer. So if you go to them, especially for farmers who are dependent on these fertilizers, and they try to explain, look, your soils are getting really bad. You need to apply like some sort of manure, and they tell you probably I have a loan I need to pay, I need school fees. So like this is the system that I've worked with, and I don't have any other option. So like, how do you approach that farmer trying to explain them? Maybe like be patient, like give it 1-2 years for you to revive your soil. So I find it a very difficult conversation to have with these farmers, to try and explain to them like the long-term effect. But I mean, in such a scenario, let's say you're talking to your mother who is entrenched in that system, what do you tell her?
You can try to explain slowly, just make them understand that how the soil affects the kind of food that you eat. Now you have to take them pole standard 1, ile class. So this is the soil and this is the plant that you're planting. So this soil is supposed to have iron, zinc, calcium, phosphorus from the soil. But the moment you start putting fertilizer in it, it depletes the minerals. This particular plant that you're planting is supposed to get these minerals from the soil so that you, the consumer, can consume these things and also have minerals in your system, because you need them as a person. So now you have to take them to that class slowly, but how many people are going to understand?
My take is, unaona watu wazee huko ushago, they understand more than we do. I think education had a way of pulling us from those indigenous traditional ways of how we did it. These people understand. Ukienda huko ushago, ajasoma, but the things these old people are going to tell you about farming, you are like, oh, they have the knowledge. That knowledge that was passed from one person to the other. It was an oral knowledge that was transferred, or a practical knowledge that was transferred. And what I want to tell you, Brian, is I want to encourage Kenyans to reduce the consumption of ugali, more so the white ugali. Go back to, eat more githeri, eat more matoke, eat more ndomas, eat more ngwashes, go back, the millet, the sorghum, go back to that food.
I'd posted something on how we're supposed to go back to growing indigenous maize. I think it was yesterday or the other day. And everyone was telling me, kwani unafikiria huku ni Marakwet mali mnarushanga sorghum inamea tu. So some people are stabbing me. Nachela nongeni kama huku ni Marakwet, unarusha tu sorghum yako na maize alafu inamea. Kwani anataka tupande 300 acres indigenous maize? So there was that conversation like, labda 250 by 100, that's when you can grow indigenous maize. 300 acres, you have to grow GMO maize. So there's also that brainwashing. And these are people who are learned on X. This is the picture of now people in the ground. Huh? Because now on the ground they know, ukitaka kupanda indigenous maize, you have to have a small piece of land for you to grow that. But if you're doing commercial 300 acres, maybe 1,000 acres, you have to use GMO. Ndio spray. Huwezi palilia na jembe. People are looking at the money bit. Like, if I'm going to plant this particular breed, is it going to make me money? And funny enough, you see, people from Uganda and these remote areas, they think the kienyeji maize, the indigenous maize that I really try to get people to go back to, is backwards. Do you know a Ugandan would rather eat a bleached white ugali, posho, than the brown one from the indigenous maize, yet they grow the indigenous maize. That's how brainwashed we are. Even in the remote areas, like where I get my organic maize, I get it from Pokot and those other sides. People there sell them because they want to buy the white one. So now it's just preserved for diabetics. So only diabetics can be able to eat those brown ones. But the rest of the people, they are growing these other ones. And then the people who are growing them on their farms will tell you, my grandmother gave me some seeds. So now also when you plant, see, pollination happens. So zinakuwa crossbred pia na the GMO ones.
I was wondering in terms of like from a farmer's perspective. So they have these options of like, hey, there's you can grow this like indigenous crops. It's good for your soils. But now there's that bit of the money bit. They're like, how am I going to make that money? I guess that's the pain that I don't think they are willing to endure for like 2-3 seasons for them to get into the other side. It was interesting you mentioned about like people in the village actually preferring the white maize than the local indigenous maize. It's just made me realize that actually advertising does work, because these are the kind of maize that they see on TV, the white maize, and then families are coming together enjoying, but they don't quite know to get that white maize. There's a lot of bleaching that has to be done for you to get it to that white.
And then I get it very interesting, because why would you normalize buying seeds every planting season? It's dangerous, because imagine having an indigenous seed that you never get to buy seed for the rest of your life. And then there's this maize, this GMO hybrid. You have to buy it every planting season. It's expensive, number one. You have to use fertilizer. Everything around it is just expensive. I don't understand why people don't see that.
Majorly, is this capturing the minds. Have you realized in all of this thing, they first capture the mind. They want the people, the farmer, the consumer to think in a particular way. Yeah. When you're thinking in a particular way, they easily grasp you. You know, you think white ugali is better, you think GMO seed is better. First of all, it's the mind. So we really need, and I love what we do here, educating the people.
Yeah. It was interesting. Mary mentioned about like if there's one thing she could advise people not to eat, it was white ugali. I'm wondering for you from a nursing perspective, and since you are in the functional health point of view, what is one food that you will advise Kenyans to stop eating?
Bread. Kila siku asubuhi mtu akiamka, chai, mkate with margarine, jam, and whatnot. It's not even food. Let's just begin there. It's not even food. You see, when you wake up in the morning and the first thing you look at is how you're going to drink your tea with sugar, and your bread with it's also sugar and wheat. It's ultra processed in the first place. So it means when you're taking in, it just spikes your insulin. By the time inafika saa 4, ushasikia njaa. So now you also want to eat again. So at the end of the day, you have eaten like 6 meals per day. You see, and then now how also you prepare your food. Like that margarine that you use. Margarine was made to mimic butter. It is not butter. So now you can make your own butter at home, but now there's this margarine that is very cheap, and it is one compound next to a plastic bottle. So if you can eat the margarine, eat even that plastic that is coming with the margarine, because what are you eating? Yeah. The hydrogenation process and everything that goes on, the industrialization and everything that went on to actually come up with margarine to mimic butter is not even fit for human consumption in the first place. But we've normalized. That's our breakfast. Sausages, smokies, and bread. Sausages and smokies have nitrites. So how these things are made, technically they're not made for us to consume. maybe the convenient human person is made to consume that, but the actual human person that's supposed to live and work in this world is not supposed to consume things that are ultra processed. Our bodies are not meant to consume that.
All right, interesting. I want us to have a conversation on why we still import a lot of food. I mean, we sort of mentioned about it, but it was very interesting in the report that we actually importing fish from all the way from China. So that was something I didn't know in Kenya we did. So this is a report that was revealed that there's a shortage of key foods in Kenya, including eggs, milk, fish, and honey, with gaps being filled from neighboring countries and China. The Food System Analysis Report, commissioned by the FCD, found that Kenya faces an annual deficit of 5 billion eggs, about 7 billion liters of milk, and 300,000 tons of fish, and 5,000 tons of honey. Eggs and milk are largely imported from Uganda, while fish is imported from China. So according to the report, Kenya's system is constrained less by production and more by structural barriers in finance, skills, and market, which limit youth value farming. Most institutions remain hesitant to extend credit to farmers due to high perceived risks that are considered informal and therefore hard to secure financing. The report noted that the financial institution remained export-oriented value chains such as tea, coffee, avocados than other formalized sectors. Domestic systems in the poultry, fish, and milk, despite the high demand, are considered more riskier and therefore under-financed. So in the products that we use on our day-to-day lives, which have the highest demand, banks say that they are not good assets for them to actually loan money on us. So what does that say about the kind of structure that we have?
You know, we call it dialectic dialect, where you create a problem and purport to bring the solution. And you actually blame someone else for that problem. For me, I think the Kenyan agriculture sector has been made to fail intentionally. There's so much the government could have done to salvage agriculture. You know, when you speak about agriculture, you're speaking about the food chain. Yeah. But it's been made to fail to warrant, to justify this all importation. You know, I have said this 1,010,000 times. Zero-rate agriculture. Do not tax anything in agriculture. Not the seeds, not the fertilizer. Actually subsidize. Like farmers are supposed to work in NCPB and pick free fertilizer. They're not supposed to pay a coin. The seeds are supposed to be paid for by the government 100%. Farmers are just supposed to go and pick the seeds. Mechanization. And you know, again, we picked, you know, we talk about fertilizer a lot. We're talking about seed. That's just a very small component of food production. Let's look at fuel, which majorly is a factor, power. You know, I mean fuel, you know, the diesel, the petrol, electricity. That's the source of power. That actually constitutes more than 30% of cost of production in agriculture. Even small farms, hata kale kashamba kadogo, we are using electricity for production. You go to bigger farms, they are using tractors, they're using fuel. So you're going to escalate fuel prices. You're going to tax. Look at our fuel in Kenya. Is it 200 and something? I don't even look at those numbers. But I know half of that money goes to tax. And you're expecting the agriculture sector to produce food. You're lying to yourself. Affordably, I mean. Yeah. When you look at Kenya Power, we heavily rely on power in agriculture. Everything. Even though it's drying, processing the milk, everything. We rely on electricity. Where I come from, where I live, we use electricity to pump water for the vegetables. You know, wana connect steamer and chapa maji kwa shamba. So if electricity, power, fuel costs are brought down, that in itself, cost of production would come down. Okay. Now we are looking at the question of importation. So you've already killed a system on this side to warrant excessive importation. I never imagined there was one day China was going to be bringing fish in Kenya. Okay. I thought the only thing Chinese would do is build roads. So Chinese is bringing garlic in Kenya, is bringing fish in Kenya, and the quality is so bad, Brian. I don't buy the white garlic because I know it's from China. I don't buy that thing. It is not what, like she said, the quality of the food, it is on the constitution of the soil. So sometimes nashanga hizo garlic zinamea kwa space hivi ama ziko kwa mchanga, because I don't understand how they are clean. Where did those things grow? And you trust the Chinese to get you anything you want. What am I trying to say, Brian, is create a system failure warrant. I have gone to Mau, the Narok area where they do wheat. Big farms. They are very beautiful farms. You need to go there. Very beautiful farms in Narok where they do large-scale wheat. And I've talked to wheat farmers there. And they've invested, for you to be a wheat farmer mechanized, they've invested millions. I once talked to a wheat farmer who cried, Amze, come and see my warehouse, full of wheat. But that wheat could not go to the miller. Why? Because the government had that excessive importation. You see, and I mentioned that the other day, wheat is highly perishable. So the backbone of a society is food. Once you attack the food chain, the food production process, you've taken over that population. So now, when I hear that document, it is just like a justification. We are going to import because, you're going to import because, you're going to import because. But they are not dealing with the problem in agriculture. So for me, all these interventions in agriculture are superficial. So when they've allocated 18 billion on imported fertilizer, did you subsidize electricity? Did you subsidize the fuel? Did you subsidize the seeds? And unaona hizi mbegu kwanza politicians wanazunguka nazo ushago. I was talking to someone in agriculture the other day who told me farmers in the coast province walipewa mbegu za cotton. Unajua cotton imetoka ikiwa red. There's something funny. There's a story there, Brian, you need to follow about the cotton seeds that were distributed by politicians in the coast area. They've grown the cotton, but cotton ilitoka ya red. It's not white. And we don't know the effect on the soil. We don't know the effect on the human body because they are the people dealing with these things. These seeds that they are distributing for free are dangerous seeds. And the worst of them all, Brian, the effect on the soil. People underestimate the effect on the soil. So what am I saying is importation, kill agriculture, import. So we are not sincere about the solutions that we want to bring to this country. A couple of years back, the only thing Chinese were doing was the roads. And now Chinese are doing the importation of, imagine, oh my goodness, this is crazy. We live in the tropics, the best volcanic soils in the world, the best weather. We can do 3 crops in a year. Chinese are easy to chapa na weather. We have the best weather, but we're importing food.
Because I was wondering, I mean, this is a question that we ask all the time. What is Uganda doing right that our Kenyan side that we are not doing right? Because Uganda is like a landlocked country. In terms of, we talk about we have the best constitution, they don't have like the kind of rights and freedom we do enjoy here. In terms of market, we have such a huge market for people to come and enjoy. But from like an agricultural point of view, what do you think they're doing right?
Let me tell you, Brian, I admire Museveni for one thing, protecting his country from the imperial hand. I'll give you examples. Here in Kenya, we legalized GMOs in a cabinet city. And this push was not just in Kenya, it was across. You know what Ugandans did? It was pushed as a bill in the Ugandan parliament. That bill has never seen the light of day. It sits in the Ugandan parliament until today. So when those imperialist powers as Uganda legalize GMO, because it's a foreign push. Yeah. What the Ugandan government says, the members of parliament have blocked it. Ugandans don't use fertilizer. Did you know that? They don't use fertilizer. Uganda is one place unamwaga mahindi huko inamea peke yake. They protect their soils. Ugandans, cassava, Ugandans, anything that's growing in the soil, matoke, they protect their soils. I was in an exhibition with some Ugandans, and they were coming to exhibit Ugandan banana wine, the matoke wine. And I was asking them, tell me about your matoke. They have a value chain, everything matoke. Matoke yao, right from I almost used Kimeru. You know, the stalk of the banana, the stem, the dried stem, it's used like kamba. Now from that, everything on the matoke is never wasted in Uganda. It's a value chain for everything. Ata ngozi ya ndizi, aitupwi. And then remember, this president, Museveni, is very proud but the most thing, when you hear him speaking, he's very proud of Ugandan food. He speaks proudly about his pineapples, his ugali, his what. So you see, for him is a pride. So imagine from at the level of the presidency, if you're going to protect your food like that, what do you expect, Brian? So I'm hoping we can have a show. We can have a show with Museveni. Like, this is literally a call. We would love to go and do a show with Museveni. Let's hear their perception on food. Because when you talk to Ugandans who are in Kenya, they hate Kenyan food. I've spoken to Ugandans, oh, your food is bad. Ugandans don't refrigerate their foods. Ugandans feel like we're eating trash, literally. Because chakula ya kwao is very indigenous, it is very authentic.
Yeah, and that's something I guess we lack a lot in our current president, who was very push about GMOs. In fact, like, one of the first things he did when he came to office was to legalize GMOs as well. So I think having someone who is inclined to, like, supporting actually farmers who are passionate about the food that they're eating helps a lot in terms of policy and pushing this particular thing that you want to see on your citizens. Since we've talked about soil a lot, let us talk about soil now in terms of research, because there's a new research that is out now that actually says there is a link between soil fertility and the intelligence of humans. This is a research that was done by, I think, the university in Turkey, and it says a recent study published in the Scientific Reports, which analyzed data from 126 countries, shows a link between soil fertility and the average intelligence of nations. The findings show that the nutritional quality of local soils plays a role in shaping human intelligence on a worldwide scale. The scientists scored different soil categories based on their natural ability to support agriculture. So high fertile soils, common in temperate regions, received the highest scores, while heavily weathered and nutrient-poor soils received the lowest scores. So Sabit Enran, this is a professor in the University of Turkey, say that the nutritional quality of our food ultimately begins with the soil. Healthy soil supports healthy crops, and healthy crops support good nutrition, and good nutrition supports cognitive development. She said that human brain development relies heavily on adequate nutrition, particularly the intake of essential minerals and vitamins. Plants and animals absorb these nutrients from the earth, so when the soil lacks vital elements like iron, zinc, and iodine, the food grown tends to be nutrition deficient. So deficiencies in these nutrients are known to negatively affect cognitive growth, especially in young children. So zinc and iron are necessary for central nervous system to build physical structures and produce chemicals that arouse the brain cells to communicate. So severe or lasting dietary shortages can lead to persistent cognitive impairment and learning difficulties. So I think we were not crazy at all when we keep saying that take care of your soils. Soils are very important. But when we have science like this actually confirming what we have been saying, I guess it sort of kind of makes sense in the long term as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read the top 5 countries that have the highest IQs and the top 5 countries that have high fertile soils. And you'll tell me what do you get from these countries, right? So countries with the highest IQ test, we have South Korea, we have China, we have Japan, we have Iran, and we have Australia. And then countries with high fertile soils, we have Ukraine, Moldova, United States, Bangladesh, and Denmark. What stands out from that list?
You think their IQ levels is connected to how their soils are constituted? So is Africa anywhere there?
Africa is in countries with poor soils to some extent.
Poor soils?
Yeah, that's what they say, especially for countries that are close to the equator, because they say there's a lot of evaporation, if you may.
Why am I thinking there are also other factors attached to this? Because if you ask me, my take is that any food grown in the tropics, south of Sahara, in terms of how that food is constituted, the minerals in that food, Africa stands like really high. Okay, particular areas in Africa. I have to look into that report deeply. I don't want to be biased, but I feel there are other factors connected to IQ levels of people.
Yeah, for sure. There are other factors, of course, in terms of there's genetics part of it,
Yes,
there's the environment.
Yes.
So what they basically did is they took the data that shows countries with the highest IQ, and then they mapped against countries that have the highest soil fertility.
Yeah.
So then they mapped this data and they came with this kind of pattern. So they basically noticed a pattern that countries that have really good quality soils tend to have population that have high IQs, right? So you talk about United States or UK, China.
Have good soils.
Yeah, in fact, is in the top 10 in terms
I need
of
to
countries
check
that have
Brother,
high
look
fertility
where
soil.
Because America, over the years, has been taken over is corporate farming. It's not small scale farmers. It's majorly corporate farming, majorly GMOs. Like they are the inventors of GMOs. It's the farming that happens in America is chemical-based farming. So if there is anywhere there is a serious poisoning of the soils, first of all, it must be America. Of all the other places, I think it must be America. And how do you tell that, Brian? You tell that directly. Look at their population. Obese, ADHD, Alzheimer's, autism. There's so many things that connect that. And Americans, what kind of foods do the Americans mostly consume? Packed food. Highly processed packed food, actually organic food or food that is on the fast farm to consumer, it's very expensive food in America, and it's a very small population that afford that kind of food. Most of the other foods that are easily affordable is now the processed foods.
It's quite interesting because even in the report they were trying to see, because there are countries that have really bad soils, but they tend to have like better IQ.
Yeah.
So countries like Saudi Arabia, countries like UAE, Morocco. Yeah. So that's the connection they were trying to make. They have really bad soils, but since they are wealthy and they have the money, so they can actually import high quality food. Yeah.
I'm trying to understand, when they talk about high quality soils, what are the parameters they're using to determine this is high quality soils?
Yeah, so they were saying like countries that are closer to the equator sort of have better soils, and also they were looking at the pH of the soils. So countries that have like neutral soils and then that have less acidic soils, so those are the kind of parameters they were saying. Oh, if your country...
Is Russia anywhere there?
Yeah, I think it's in the top 10 in terms of countries with high IQs. Yeah, it's actually in the top 6 countries with high IQs. So it's pretty high there because they have it's literally a continent, Russia. So they have a good variety of soils as well.
Methods.
Yeah. So I guess the whole point of the research, they were trying to sort of find patterns of trying to say, hey, what can we get if we take countries that have people with high IQs and countries that have high fertile soils? Is there patterns that we can make? So that's what they were looking, and and then they actually saw there was some correlation. There's a link between those countries that have really good soils and countries that have population that have high IQ. So that's the whole gist of the science, which sort of explains a lot of things, because when you have like good quality soils, then that means you have foods that have high nutrition, right?
Values, yeah.
And we can actually see this in terms of children who are highly malnutritioned. They tend to have like bad development.
Yeah, because the soil microbiome goes directly to your gut microbiome, and when your gut is inflamed, for instance, you have a leaky gut, it tends to also affect your brain. There is something we call the gut-brain axis. So when someone has mental health issues, I know we'll go directly to utameza hii, but we don't ask what are they consuming, how is the gut, because if you don't fix the gut, you will just have someone going to Madari and back, because now you are not focusing on the gut-brain axis. You have a leaky gut, you have fatigue, you have brain fog, a leaky gut your gut is inflamed, so there's the permeability of the foods that you're ingesting, so zinakuwa permeable, so they get out of the gut into the bloodstream and into the system and to other tissues. So they also affect your brain. So unapata you have brain fog, you're depressed, you're stressed, unashanga what's not happening. So when you go back, your gut is also affected. Your gut has issues, but now you're not fixing the gut. You're depressed, give me the medications for depression. So now you take medications and you kind of just patching spaces, but you're not going back to what is the root cause. So when you go to the soil and IQ, it makes a lot of sense, because what you consume from the soil goes back to how it's if it's affected in your gut. It affects your gut microbiome and how it affects your brain.
When someone has like a leaky gut or they have high inflammation, like what advice can you give to them in terms of to improve their gut health?
So when it comes to healing the gut, it is a process. It is a lifestyle, actually. It's not even a process. I'll say it is a lifestyle. You have to take it seriously. It needs your discipline and you understanding that what you're doing is supposed to repair your gut. So there's healing the gut and then there's repairing the gut. So fermented foods and probiotics, kimchi, kefir, you get fermented cabbage, the sauerkraut, you get fermented milk, the plain yogurts. Those are good for healing and diversifying your gut bacteria, the gut microbiome. But now when you're repairing the gut, you will need collagen-rich foods. So things like bone broth are very good to repair your gut. But also that is the healing and the repair. But now what are you also consuming? Because you could be healing the gut and repairing, but what are you consuming? So now these highly processed foods, for instance, are pro-inflammatory in nature. The chips, the crisps, most of them are made with vegetable oils, seed oils, which are toxic in high heat. When you expose them to high heat, they are inflammable, like they are highly inflammatory, so they are toxic. So when you ingest, it oxidizes in your cells. So it continues with the inflammatory process in your cells. It is very painless. You'll not even know it's happening. That's why it's called silent chronic inflammation. So it continues to happen, things like those ones. So now what are you consuming in the first place? Because you could be consuming things that are highly inflammatory, sugars, all these ultra-processed foods, juices, the biscuits, the sodas. And then now you're eating your fermented food in those ones. And then in the evening, you're going to drink your soup. You're thinking you're doing the right thing. But in reality, no, now you have to change even what you're eating. There's food pairing, there's food processing. How you prepare your food and how you pair it matters in how you're going to heal your gut. So it starts from how you prepare your food, how you pair your food, and how you space your meals. Because also, we have been brainwashed to think we are supposed to wake up in the morning, take breakfast. Ikifika saa 4, tukunywe chai ama kauji. Ikifika saa 7, tukule rice na beans. Ikifika usiku, tukule ugali. So you see, we've been programmed to eat so many meals during the day. But in reality, our bodies aren't wired to actually work like that. If you've lived with children don't eat in the morning. They usually wake up, play, and then they come back and eat. Why? Because of the circadian rhythm. It's the sun that governs our eating cycle. That is why even in the villages, people wake up, go to the farm, and then they come and eat. You don't eat and then you go. That is not... So you see things like those ones. So our brains, you've been programmed to eat before anything else. So now, this eating all the time spikes your insulin. So each and every time you're eating, insulin is produced. Each and every time. So after a very long period of time, unapata you get insulin resistance, and then you get diabetes. Because this is not something that has happened today. This is something that has gone on 30 years, 20 years back. And then people think now you can reverse in one day or a month. You can't. You have to take the time to now. You see, these are your habits that you've had for 20 years, 30 years. So in order to reverse all these diseases, like you said, everything is reversible, but you have to be very disciplined and very patient in it, because now you're supposed to go back to what did I do wrong? Now let's correct it. Even cancers and whatnot. Yes, you can reverse anything. The human body can heal itself. Hata Yesu alisema your faith has healed you. For the religious ones, your faith has healed you. So if you're going to reverse anything, you have to be very patient, and now you have to go back and understand, where was I doing wrong? Now we start, now we start correcting the wrongs. Yeah, that is the best way you can actually heal your body. But as long as you have not figured out the root cause, you're just going to be fixing things here and there, but not fixing the root cause. When you say the root cause, it's not just about food. The perfumes you're using, the oils you're using, the clothes you're wearing. It's a whole multidimensional living. It's not just about food, but food The reason why food takes up the bigger percentage is because your gut makes up 70 to 80% of your immune system. The gut, 70 to 80% of your immune system. So it means if you have any issue, start from the gut, because if you fix the gut, all your issues are going to fix themselves.
Yeah, so it's a long haul. It's a long distance sort of journey. So there's no one thing that's gonna fix it, but you have to decide for yourself for you to get on that journey. So all right, so I want us to talk about the last topic, and then we call it a day. And this one is an international news story, and it's from the US, and it says Bayer, the Germany multinational pharmaceutical and biotechnology company, got sued for illegal and anti-competitive practices to monopolize the US market. The lawsuit, which was filed by Latham Quality, which is a family-owned seed company based in Iowa, alleges that Bayer raised costs for farmers and independent seed companies by controlling the market for corn seeds, which is engineered to resist a widely weed killer, which is Roundup. The new lawsuit say that Bayer sought to prevent competitors from developing the generic versions of corn seed known as NK603, which is a GMO seed, which Bayer controls. Bayer prohibited independent seed companies from using its genetic seed materials to develop a competing generic corn product, even when the patent had expired in 2022. So Latham, which got a license from Bayer, said that Latham started working on its own corn seed that would have competed with Bayer's product, prompting a warning from Bayer representatives to say that they should be 100% loyal to Bayer. So this is a classic case. I guess we've been talking about these GMO issues for a while, and this is a classic example of what we were talking about when they brought GMOs and they were like, oh, this patent has expired, so we can use it the way we want. But apparently Bayer is like not so fast.
The legal jargon around GMOs, no one has discussed that. No one has discussed what happens when GMO cross-pollinated maize pollinates an indigenous farm. No information about that. Is the indigenous farmer going to be sued? Can the indigenous farmer sue the GMO farmer for the cross-pollination happening on their farm? The fidelity of seed, the purity of seed. If I cannot maintain purity of my seed because of my neighbor, who can I sue? There are a lot of gray areas, and I have said time and again, they use the law to enslave people. They're very good at using the law to enslave people. And now you see, this is a case of whereby they had a temporal patent, but still want to exert rights on that patent even after the expiring of that temporal patent. And this is another company seeking to develop a GMO from that, the Bayer original seed, yeah? And you know, to me, they are making us run all over the place because they just allowed or developed this seed. You know, they are gods. We've given them the powers of God because it's God who gives seeds. For me, no human being, no corporation should ever own seed. No one. This is, if we develop, say we've gone to the lab, we developed a super hybrid. It should be an open patent, open for humanity to use. No one should own a seed for self-gain. A corporation, a company, that is enslavement. It's food, using capitalism in food production. And that's a very dangerous area to go to. So you can imagine with such complex cases happening in America, what is going to happen in Kenya? By the way, how did you even get to know that Kenya had the Plant Seeds and Varieties Act? It is a farmer in Nakuru, a mzungu farmer, who sued a neighbor sababu alipanda dhara. Huyu mzungu akasema hii dhara ni patent yangu. So this farmer who is just growing, unajua vile tunaombananga, nikatie, ningole, niende nipande kwa shamba yangu. This mzungu in Nakuru comes and sues the farmer. That's how we got to know that we actually have Seeds, Plants and Varieties Act in Kenya. You see? So Kenyans are not even informed. Forget even about Kenyans. Even parastatals like Kefis, like Caro, they've not looked at the complexity of the legality around these seeds. It is so complex. Okay, first of all, farmers will not even afford these litigation processes. Hakuna mtu atatupigania. Mbegu tu zitaenda hivyo tu, And don't forget, like she said, these seeds are connected to the pesticides. Always. So the seed genome is developed to demand a particular pesticide, and that particular combination has an effect on the soil. So assuming nimepanda GMO and then niseme next season I'm not doing GMO, nataka kupanda cassava, itamea. Mchanga ishaharibika. And case an example, look at what has happened in Nigeria. So this is a murky area we have. If there is any war that we have to win in this country, it's not even the war on corruption, it's the war on pushing away GMOs from this country. It is a very murky area. When they bring seeds, they say, oh, we want to study these seeds. We want to improve. You know, they have very good language. We want to improve. We want to certify. We want to make them superior seeds. My goodness. It's a very dangerous area to go into. And we call upon our leaders, the ones who are going to hear us in 10 years. GMO is an area you don't want to get into as a country.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm guessing for like a normal consumer, let's say someone who is in Nairobi, they have like a day job, when they go to work, they come back in the evening, watch TV, sleep. You know, like this issue of GMO might not be very close to their hearts, right? They don't care as much.
Yeah.
So what kind of advice like do you give to such a person to sort of wake up and say, oh, okay, this is something that I should get interested with?
What are they eating? Do they know what they are eating? Do they understand the effects of whatever it is that they are consuming? That it's as basic as that.
The consumer is more affected because the consumer is consuming, is eating that food. Hizo vitu zote tumesema, the poisoning, the what. You know, for the farmer, mostly it's the profit, or it's just the getting the results out of your crop. But for the consumer, this is food you're putting in your body. The effects on the consumer is monumental.
But you see now, the consumer shouldn't even be worried. Bayer has bought almost 12 pharmaceuticals. So don't worry. Bayer owns pharmaceutical companies. So if Bayer bought Monsanto, right, for the fertilizers and the weed killers and pesticides, and then now it also owns pharmaceuticals. So why should you worry? Eat GMO and then Bayer will come and give you antacids. Don't worry. I mean, Bayer got you covered. And then also they have very good insurances. They got you covered.
It's crazy. It's crazy how you see the network. When you see they own the seed, they own the pesticides. Yes, and they own the companies that will make the drugs. Oh my goodness. It's a pyramid. It's connecting. I tell people, go to hospital when it's very necessary, ultimately important. But otherwise, avoid hospitals. Go to hospitals when it's a do or die. Okay, go get checked up, go for scans, that's perfect. Check your sugars, check your whatever. But going for conventional treatments, do it when it's ultimately necessary. But more so, do more preventative before you get there. Because now you can see the person feeding you is owning the drugs, is owning the chemicals. You're actually the product in the market.
Yeah, you are the product in the market. And that's why they don't want you to care about it. You live in the city. We want you to live in the city so that we can grow food for you in your farms. That's the whole point of affordable housing, by the way. Yeah. We want you to move. We'll grow food for you. So Bayer is going to grow the food for you. See, it's Bayer that was talking about certified seeds the other day. Yeah. There was a whole campaign by Bayer. Yeah. So now we'll grow your food, and then when you get sick, we'll also give you pharmaceutical drugs because we love you so much and we care about your health.
You have to give them some credit in terms of like
they're
how
geniuses.
smart they are.
Smart people.
Yeah, because they're trying to see ways that they put you in the system, so you're in a loop sort of.
It's a loop. That's where you work. You're given an insurance cover. In this job that you do 9 to 5, you don't even get outside to get the sun. Mm-hmm. So when you go to the hospital, I'll prescribe vitamin D for you so that you can take it. Remember, almost everyone with a chronic problem has vitamin D deficiency. So you have an insurance cover. Yeah. I mean, do you need even the sun? In this particular office, I'll give you coffee, I'll give you water from a dispenser with microplastics. Thank you. And then you're going to drink it. And then in lunchtime, I'll give you fries. You're going to eat those ones. In the evening, you're going to go home late. The sun is out. You don't get the red therapy. You don't get the blue light. You've been in blue light during the whole day in the office and your screens. Now you are depressed. You have an insurance cover. You go back to the hospital. I have you from Monday to Saturday. It's crazy.
It's a perfect enslavement. I tell people every time, go off grid, go to the farm, live in the farm, grow a bit of your food, construct your own house. Hata kama ni mabati pigilia, insert your solar panel, disconnect yourself from the KPLC, control aspects of your life. Control what you eat, control your source of power, control a few things about your life. Because right now, you've given the entire control of your life to someone else. And also plant some herbs, some mint, some hibiscus, rosemary. Those small things, they're useless. They count in a big way. Grow them, even though it's a basket, whatever, somewhere, just grow them. Be in between the urban and the off-grid, You sort of having the control of where your life is or where you want to be.
Interestingly, I think I wrote an article on mold. Maybe I'll share it with you sometime back for the Truth and Society magazine. So the houses that we used to live in, the African traditional houses, are built with mud, right? And samadi ya ng'ombe. Do you know it is resistant to mold? It's breathable. So it is fit for human living. Yeah. And then it is also round, means it does not cage. Energy moves freely, and it is round. It does not cage you in a cage. We say think outside the box, but we live in a box. Our ancestors were very smart, and they understood that. And then the thatched houses, the grass. The grass, it's very good. Humidity and a temperature, it balances. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. But now we are told, that is backwards, and now we need this other technology.
Yeah. I mean, this topic, we can go down the rabbit hole. Yeah.
We can do this for 5 hours.
Yeah. So, but I think that was a very good conversation. We get to go through a lot of the topics that we set out to go through. So that was pretty good. Shella, thank you very much for making time and joining us and sharing your wisdom as well. I didn't know that, is it pig fat is called lard? Until, I saw you selling some. Yeah, so it's fair, guys, to know you're actually a plug for such.
If you're looking for fermented foods, I make sauerkraut on pre-order basis. The normal cabbage, the red cabbage, and the mixed ones. That's carrots, the green cabbage, and the red cabbage as well. I also make sheep tallow that I render from sheep tail fat. So it's creamy, it's soft, and it's not even very different from what you were used to using. So there's the pure one, and then I have one that I infuse with turmeric, ginger, rosemary, and garlic. They're all whole herbs. I do everything by myself, so I can come back to the producer from the kitchen. So I do everything at home. So I do low scale, so I just sell to people who need them on order basis, on pre-order basis. So I have those. I also have a link. Maybe you'll put it down there. Yeah, and I also run functional holistic nursing home care services. So you'll also put the link there. What we do differently is we do what we call a functional nursing assessment. So when you come to your house, we do an assessment functionally. We want to understand your kitchen, what is going on in that kitchen, what are you eating in this house, what can we do to help you regain back your optimal health. So patients with Alzheimer's, dementia, cancers, hypertension, diabetes, any condition really. So we offer that as well.
Yeah, interesting. I asked you about if the one thing that guys were to get rid of in their diet, what they will get rid of. In terms of something what is one thing, if there's someone who wants to improve their diet, what is one thing that they can incorporate in their everyday today lives that you can recommend for them to do?
Get rid of sugar, the table sugar. Get rid of the table sugar and then replace your meals with whole, real food. If you can get whole food, if you can get arrowroots, if you can get sweet potatoes, if you can get matoke, plantains, anything that comes whole, that you peel for yourself and cook it for yourself, that is the best thing you can do for yourself. Eat whole foods. Also eggs, eat your eggs. I know they lied to you that they have cholesterol. Just eat your eggs. Cholesterol is not your enemy. Cholesterol is the building blocks of almost all hormones. So you need cholesterol to live. Huh? Yeah, saturated fat does not cause heart attack. That is also another myth. Because if it did, heart attack would not be the leading causes of death today. Because we moved from saturated to unsaturated fats. So it means heart attacks should have been done away with. Seed oils and vegetable oils are the ones that we have been programmed to be using. And it's also marketed as cholesterol-free, which is interesting because cholesterol comes from animals. So if it is from a vegetable, where does it get the cholesterol from? For you to write it for me that it is cholesterol-free.
So thank you very much. And we'll be very happy to have you again on the podcast. Mary, asante sana pia for making time. If there's someone who hasn't read your book by now, they should know that they should grab a copy of your book as well.
Yeah. And prepare to come for my book launch on 14th of August. I'm inviting everyone to come for my book launch. Brian will put the details. 14th of August at the United Kenya Club. Purchase a ticket. I'll be launching my second book, so I'll launch both books. Really? Yeah, yes. Second book already? Yeah, that was the plan. The plan was to do just a soft release, then do a launch together. Yeah, so please. And it's been work in progress, just like chini ya maji. Yeah, it's a lot of work that has been going on. And I thought maybe it's the time to do it. So please come and attend my book launch. Let's get even to know each other one-on-one.
Yeah. Awesome. Congrats on such a quick but you've been planning for it.
Working really hard since for long.
Yeah. Writing a book is hard. I've been trying to to do that, but it's been really, really hard. But hopefully I will join you very soon in that club as well. All right. Thank you guys for joining us on the podcast. Really, really enjoyed it. If you liked it, of course, make sure you give a thumbs up, and I will very much appreciate. Let us know on the comments how you found the podcast, what we can improve, and if this is a story that you'd like us to cover, we'll be very happy to do that. Till the next podcast, remember to be organic. Cheers.